Hello, members. My name is Lisa Schneck. I'm your Wellness and Activities Director here at Heritage Palms. In this video, I'm going to provide a narrative for the slides that we went through during our December 8 Dimensions of Wellness Lunch and Learn, which was taking a look specifically at physical health. And within physical health, there's actually a focus on epigenetics. So the first thing that I would like to do is just do a little bit of a review of our November's Lunch and Learn, where we establish the wellness paradigm. So unlike a lot of the terms that we use when we think of wellness. So if I ask folks, what does wellness mean to you, or what do you think wellness means? Oftentimes we get a lot of positive terminology. So maybe well-being, optimal health, being happy, having endurance. All of these things are within wellness. Wellness encompasses all of those things. But the Global Wellness Institute defines wellness as the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. And so what we've established then is that wellness is actually a continuum. We can span all the way from premature death there on the left over to high levels of wellness on the right. And then right there in the middle where the icon of a person is, you see a neutral point, the point where there is no discernible illness or wellness. Now, too often, what our focus is on is being in this neutral point, right? We want to be free from disease, and we think of that as the goal. However, that is not the goal. As you can see here, that's where the medical treatment model will lead us to. So if you're seeing a doctor, the doctor's goal is for you to have no discernible illness. However, your doctor's not necessarily going to carry you over to high levels of wellness. Once you've passed this neutral point and are moving toward higher levels of wellness, this has to do with your choices in life. This is your education. This is preventative medicine. This is working with therapists and coaches and perhaps working on your weight health journey. These are the things that move you over to the right. Now, not only, or I should say, let's just skip into, there are 8 dimensions of you. So we have your physical self, your environmental self, mental, intellectual, and so forth. And each of these dimensions of you is also moving along the continuum. So if we pretend that this icon of a person here on the far right is physical health, that physical dimension of you, you can see that this aspect or this dimension of oneself is pretty far to the right on the continuum. But if we look over here all the way to the far left, let's say that would be your emotional, mental health. The fact that the physical health is so good is going to enable you to move through, to move this mental, emotional dimension of yourself further to the right. So the physical health is going to support the mental and emotional health. However, at the same time, the mental and emotional health is likely impacting the physical health. So we have all of these different dimensions of you. They're all independent yet interdependent, and they're all moving along this continuum as well. So what decides where we are along this continuum? Well, it's a combination of factors. We've got factors that are beyond our control. So that's going to be your age, your family history, your race, your sex, and your personal history. You can't change these things. If you've had a heart attack in the past, then you've had a heart attack in the past. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. If you were born a biological male or female, nothing that you can do to change that fact. Each one of these aspects here in that top right corner, each one of these has an influence on where you are on the continuum. Each one of these is going to have particular strengths and particular weaknesses. Now, within our control, we have quite a lot. So we have these factors that we can't do anything about, but down here in the bottom left, you see the things that are within our control. That's going to be our consumption, whether that's food and drink or media, the books we read, the people we surround ourselves with. We're absorbing all of that. We're effectively consuming all of that. Movement, as I always say, it's not about exercise. It's great if you have a goal to look a certain way or to run a certain speed or to bike so many miles. That's perfectly fine, but it's not necessary. About 90% of the benefits you get from exercise, you can get by just simply moving your body 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, or 150 minutes per week. That alone, statistically, you avoid about 90% of the problems that you'll have from a sedentary lifestyle. From there, rest and sleep. Cannot say enough about the importance of rest and sleep. You get no badge of honor from me for only sleeping 4 or 5 hours per night. It's not good for you when you're sleeping. Your body is removing toxins. It's setting up your brain. New pathways are forming. Super, super important that you get enough rest and sleep. And from there, we've got our environment. We've got our social connections. And there on the bottom, what I would say probably more important than all the other factors there, because it kind of sets up the environment for them, is the mindsets and beliefs. Really just can't say enough about your mindset and beliefs. And so what it comes down to then is, what do you do the most consistently? Every once in a while, we may eat too much cake. Every once in a while, we might drink too much alcohol. Every once in a while, we might do what the younger generations call bed or couch rotting, where we just lay back and relax and try not to worry at least about doing anything. It comes down to consistency. It is your habits that are going to move you either to the right toward optimal health or to the left toward premature death. Now, we have established that there are factors that we cannot control, but there is an abundance of factors that we do control. And so it's a blend of those two things, which is going to move you either to the right or to the left on the continuum. What you do the most consistently is going to determine where you are along that continuum. Now, this has got a lot of information arranged on here, so just take a moment to look it over. Okay, so we have the continuum. We have optimal health on the right. We have premature death on the left. Right there in the middle, we have freedom from disease. Now, if you look to the left, you'll see medical treatment. The reason that's there is because once you have moved to the left on the continuum, once you begin to experience disease or dysfunction, you are now going to be working with medical professionals to treat whatever it is that you need to have treated to move you back toward the right. You're not going to use coaches or therapists or personal trainers to treat dysfunction or disease. Never. But once you've moved to the right of the continuum, that is when you can use your therapist, your personal trainer, your coaches to take you all the way to optimal health. Let me use a little, I'm going to set up a scenario here to kind of make this make sense. Let's say, I'm just going to go with the same scenario I used in November to describe this. Let's say that you're working with a personal trainer. You are having some limitation in your hip. You're having a little bit of pain. You share this with the trainer. A good personal trainer who believes that you are over here to the right of the continuum and so therefore can work with you is going to say, hey, if you've got pain in that hip, you need to go and be seen. And so you are then going to be referred to a physical therapist. That's over here on the left. The physical therapist then can do whatever they need to do to move you toward the right on the continuum. You may also see your doctor. Either way, you're getting medical treatment over here. As you're receiving your medical treatment, you are going to be advocating for yourself with your medical professionals. They are going to provide you parameters within which you can do your exercise. If you're being treated with some sort of a diet, let's say you have type 2 diabetes and you have a dietitian who is treating you for that, they can give you parameters that you can then take back to your coaches and make sure that everybody's working in line. Eventually, of course, the goal is for your treatment to be over and for you to be released. And at that point, then you're going to work back with your personal trainer. Your doctor isn't necessarily going to take you all the way to the right because they're just there to get you to the point where you are free from disease and dysfunction, or as free as you can be, and then give you the parameters within which to work. They are not necessarily, despite their best efforts, perhaps, they're not necessarily going to be there to encourage you. They're not necessarily going to know a lot about exercise and nutrition. I've said this before. I think most medical professionals would even agree with me. As a nutrition coach, I have more education on nutrition than most medical professionals because it's just not something that they get far into. Now, again, if you have type 2 diabetes, even as a nutrition coach, you're not going to talk to me because I know about nutrition for healthy people. A licensed dietitian is going to know about nutrition that's going to move you to the right toward freedom from disease. So I hope that wasn't too much to take in all at one time. We just want to establish the difference there between the treatments, the encouragement you're going to get on the right versus the treatment you would get on the left. So one of the first ways that we can influence where we are along that continuum is through our preventative health care. This is going to be screenings, immunizations, checkups, counseling, personal protection. Preventative health care is working with those factors that you cannot control. So women are going to have slightly different preventative health care than men. People of different races are going to have slightly different health care based off of what is common for people within a particular group. The same for depending on your personal history, depending on your family history. There's going to be different preventative measures that you can take. This is an important component of keeping you to the right on that continuum. From the preventative health care, then we have nutrition. There's a lot of information, again, on this slide. I'm just going to breeze through it really quickly, and you, of course, can pause if you need to read what's on here. But, I'll liken it to a vehicle. There's a lot more that we need to do with our vehicles than simply put fuel in them, right? You can get away with that for a really long time. You buy a brand new car right off the lot, no mileage on it, and you only put fuel in it. You don't do anything else, right? You're not checking any fluids. You're not changing brake pads. You're not changing anything. Let's say you even skip the oil, right? No wiper fluid, no transmission checks, nothing. That car will continue to move. We can say almost for sure, reliably for 50 or 60,000 miles, but eventually the performance is going to decline to a point where you've got some real problems. Does the age of the car matter? Absolutely, the age of the car matters. Does the mileage on the car matter? Absolutely, the mileage matters, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as the maintenance. And that's where your nutrition comes in. You are literally made from the things that you eat. And if all you're eating is pizza and chicken nuggets and drinking Coke, you are not getting the nutrition in your body that you need for it to be fueled and for it to work effectively. Conversely, if you are getting the right nutrition, your systems are going to work effectively, optimally. You're going to feel better. You're going to have a higher quality of life much, much longer. And I can break this all down real simple. Get as much nutrient-dense whole foods from all food groups of all different colors as you can. Stop counting calories. I promise you, a calorie is a mental construct. It's not so much about the calorie as where the calories coming from. You want your calories to have nutrition in them because nutrition is actually what your body needs, not just fuel. Do we need fuel? Sure. Do empty calories taste good? Sure. Does that mean you can't have empty calories? No. We want to limit sugar, limit alcohol, limit saturated fat, limit fake foods. If it's sweet and it doesn't have sugar in it, it's probably not good for you. If it's a fat, but it doesn't have fat in it, probably not good for you. Stay away from fake cheese and fake sugars. Not saying that you can't have them. Just remember, this is not the stuff that's going to fuel your body optimally. We want to feel good. That's why we have a glass of wine. Well, if you have too many glasses of wine, you're not going to feel good. If you don't put fiber in your body, you're not going to feel good. Your body's not going to work effectively. Get this nutrition into your body. And again, stop counting calories. Work on getting as much nutrient-dense foods into your body as you can and add those treats, the glasses of wine, the cake, whatever. Have them. You can have them every single day if you want. But just make sure you're getting the good stuff in there and you'll be fine. Healthy movement. So healthy movement involves safe and enjoyable physical activity. Look at that guy there on the right. He's having the time of his life, right? I think that too often we lose sight of the importance of just simply being joyful. Just be joyful. Just move your body. You have joints from your ankles all the way up. You actually have joints on your skull. You can't move those, but all the joints that you can move, work every day to just move your joints through their full range of motion. Something that simple is life-changing. Move your joints through their range of motion. Get those steps in, 150 minutes per week of cardiovascular training. If you want to go a little harder, go right ahead, as long as you can do it with some sort of joy in your heart, right? We push ourselves when we're out dancing. We've got sweat pouring off of us. Some of us ladies have our mascara running down our face. Great big smile. That's a lot of exercise. Big smiles. Go for those things that make you happy, and it'll have a big impact on you. In addition to that, when we move and we are in a positive mental state, it's actually good for our cognitive health as well, right? And of course, sleep and rest. Recommendations are 7 to 9 hours. The recommendations tend to be for men to have 7 hours and women are closer to 9 hours. We require more sleep at times. If you're learning something new, learning a new language, for example, you need more sleep. Isn't that fun? Missed sleep is a debt that must be repaid minute for minute. If you consistently miss sleep, you rack up the sleep debt that is going to plague you. A very important aspect of getting enough sleep is your bedtime routine. You really want to set yourself up for success here. Get into the bedroom without phones, without tablets, without TV. Set it up so that it really feels good to you. Maybe that means soft lighting, maybe some sort of a like white noise, candle, a book, maybe. Work on contemplating things that you're grateful for. I don't know if many people understand this, but gratitude, feeling grateful, is considered the antidote to every negative emotion you can have. So important to practice gratitude. It will change your life, right? So sleep and then rest without sleep. We feel guilty so often for taking time for ourselves. But what I can promise you is this: self-care, your self-care, is more important to the people that depend on you than to anyone else. So those people that you lose your sleep or you lose your rest trying to be there for, you're doing a disservice to them. The more someone depends on you, the more they depend on you taking care of yourself. Remember that we give from our overflow. We cannot give from our debt. Get your sleep, get your rest, have a good time. And that leads us right to a positive mindset. Your positive mindset is ground zero for everything else you're going to experience. Believe me that if you want to do something but you don't believe that you can, you will not be successful. You cannot be. And if you want to do something but you believe you can, it would take an awful lot to stop you from being able to achieve whatever it is that you want. I liken it to this. When we think of having a positive mindset, oftentimes what people think of is putting rose-colored glasses on, right? Putting lipstick on a proverbial pig, seeing bad things through a lens that makes them look better, right? It's delusional. That is not what positive mind or what a positive mindset is. That is not what positive thinking is. Positive thinking is taking a realistic inventory of your strengths and the things you have working for you. Not looking at the things that you're not good at, not looking at your weaknesses, not spending a lot of time dwelling on what you don't have. Let's put it into a real scenario. This is a completely ridiculous scenario, actually, but it's something that it's a real life situation that we can examine. Let's say that somehow you've ended up in the middle of one of those medieval mazes, like where they used to have the Minotaur in the maze. Let's say that something's happened in your life and you have been trapped inside of this maze. What good does it do us to sit down and think about the person who put us there, blame others in our mind for being there, blame ourselves, be down on ourselves, sit down right there with our back pressed up against a cold stone wall, surrounded by all of this nasty environment, and just dwell on it? It does no good. Positive mindset is saying to yourself, you know what? I've got a Snickers bar in my pocket. I'm actually really good at scaling walls. We want to think about what we have to work with because then we can use it. You can't focus on two things at the same time. If you're focusing on what you don't have, or you're focusing on your weaknesses, it's a major disservice to you. You cannot be successful. It feels to us oftentimes like that's what we should do, right? We should focus on what's not going well. We should focus on strengthening our weaknesses. It's not true. Don't do it. Focus on what you have going for you. And we're right back here with the lifestyle and continuum. I just want to reiterate this here. We have consistency. We have helpful habits that move us to the right. We have unhelpful habits that are going to move us to the left. And how consistently we perform those habits is going to determine where we are on that continuum. Now, you'll remember I told you there are factors that we have control over, and there are the factors that we can't control. And that's where we're talking about our age, our sex, our personal history, our family history. Now, here's where it gets really good. We cannot change those things. We cannot change our genetics, but we can influence our genetics. And it's through those exact same factors that those lifestyle factors, those things that we can control, that we are able to control, or I should say influence, the factors that we typically don't. Now, there's a lot of writing on this screen. Feel free, or I should say typing, feel free to pause this if you want to read through it. But essentially, epigenetics is the study of how your environment, how your lifestyle, let's say, can switch on or switch off gene expression. So, for example, you may have within your genetics something like schizophrenia. Well, depending on your environment, and by environment in this case, I'm talking everything from your nutrition to movement to your sleep and then to your literal environment. influences whether or not that switch ever gets flipped on. Well, the same is true for most of your genetics. It's influenced whether these genes are expressed or not is influenced by your lifestyle, by what's called epigenetics. So I created this slide here to establish kind of a metaphor to hopefully make it a little bit easier to understand. So if we think of life as, let's say in this instance, a play, the cells are the actors. The DNA, your genetics, is the script, but epigenetics is the director. And so you can imagine you're going to have quite a different show. You could have the exact same script, but depending on who the director is, it's going to be a much different experience. Same script, different interpretation. And this director is telling these cells to do something completely different. And so what we have there is nurture influencing nature. So we have, nature is the way things just sort of are. So the genetics that we have when we're born, and nurture is the influences on that nature. Again, you can pause on this slide if you'd like to read through it, but our lifestyle absolutely influences gene expression. Our environment absolutely influences gene expression, and our thoughts and beliefs absolutely influence our gene expression. This isn't all science is a theory, but this is established, plenty of research supporting that you, through your daily consistent habits, dictate what genes are going to be expressed and how. Dictate was probably too strong of a word. You influence. So positively influencing your DNA through epigenetics means making beneficial changes to how your genes are expressed, not altering the DNA sequence itself, but by adopting healthy lifestyle habits like a nutritious diet, regular exercise, stress management, and avoiding harmful substances, which can all impact your epigenome and potentially promote better health outcomes. And so what we see here, we see, the environment represented there on the left. That's the actual physical environment. This can also be in your home. How our having a clean, organized home is important to our mental and physical health. Nutrition here, lots of colors, all food groups represented, all your micronutrition, that's in your carbohydrates. So then we see this lady here, she's got her hands up, she's telling the wine bottle no. There's nothing wrong with having a cocktail, nothing wrong with having a few drinks, but something like this can easily turn into an addiction. Getting plenty of rest and sleep, getting exercise, and not just getting exercise, but getting exercise with a group. And then up here at the top, we see the gentleman. He's got a lot going on in his life. This is not somebody who is at peace because they don't have stress. You can see very clearly there's a lot that he's juggling, but the way that he's doing it with this positive mindset and the other approaches he's obviously taking, he's able to handle everything and actually looks like a pretty peaceful guy there, right? Now, conversely, can go the other way. Negatively influencing your DNA through epigenetics means that environmental factors like poor diet, stress, exposure to toxins, or traumatic experiences can alter the chemical modifications on your DNA, effectively turning off certain genes or making them less active, potentially impacting your health negatively without changing the underlying DNA sequence itself. Essentially, your environment can change how your genes are expressed without changing the genetic code. We see up here at the very top somebody who's at the poor point in a battle against substance abuse. In this case, we're using wine. let's just be honest, there's no one who's immune to this. No one is immune to the seduction of something that brings you pleasure without really taking much effort from you, and something that the pleasure is not only fleeting, but it declines. The more you do it, the less pleasure you get from it. That's an addictive cycle, and it can happen with food, it can happen with sex, it can happen with television, with your phone, it can happen with wine here, it can even happen with exercise. So anything that has you in this sort of a cycle, trust me, there's help for you out there. You don't have to live like that. It's just a simple, I guess what I really want to say is it's not a character thing. Everyone, no one is immune to it. Everyone deals with it to some degree. And don't let yourself think that you're stuck there. The gentleman right below, a lot going on there, but he's not at peace like the person we saw on the other slide. This person's out of balance and overwhelmed. We see the lady here obviously not getting much rest or sleep for whatever reasons. We see another lady down here on the right. All this food that she's eating is very high calorie food, and it's got little nutrition, which means that her systems in her body, her neurotransmitters, everything is not being fed what it needs to be fed in order to operate. But at the same time, she's getting all of these extra calories, which is just going to put more fat on her, which is just exasperating the situation. We see the fellow here at the bottom on the couch. The only good thing in that picture is the dog, maybe the guitar behind him. This is just somebody who's obviously not gotten off the chair in a while. Again, super easy to happen. There's a bit of a momentum that goes with anything we're doing in our life. And that's even true of those things that we are not doing. Sitting in the chair can pick up its own momentum where it becomes more and more difficult to get up and participate in life. It's really just a matter of starting the momentum off the other way. Just get up out of the chair, start taking your steps, and never be hard on yourself. And then here, of course, if your environment is poisoned, your body's going to be poisoned. So optimal physical health is a state of well-being that encompasses how well your body systems and organs function. It involves a variety of healthy behaviors, prevention, nutrition, movement, and rest. These 4 things will influence, through epigenetics, will influence those factors that we don't have control over, helping us to have positive gene expression. And what we learned today we reviewed the wellness dimension of physical health. Our physical health is positively influenced by optimal nutrition, optimal movement, optimal rest and sleep, and a positive mindset. We should aim to consume nutritious whole foods, move our body for 30 minutes each day, sleep 7 to 9 hours per night, and focus on what is positive, helpful, and within our control. Boy, that's sound advice right there. Focus on what is positive, what is helpful, and what is within your control. There is no reason to spend any time contemplating anything that isn't positive, helpful, and within our control. Physical health is one dimension of us. Epigenetics, we now know that our lifestyle choices impact those uncontrollable factors, essentially turning on or off gene expression. Harnessing the power of the mind, our physical health is optimized or atrophies depending upon our daily habits, which are tied to our mindset and beliefs. We can hack our minds and put into place the life experience we choose. What to expect in coming seminars. We will review each of the 8 dimensions of wellness, including cutting-edge research and effective methods for increasing our wellness, where we are on that continuum. Wellness resources here at HP. We have the Wellness Book Club. We're currently at capacity with the book Atomic Habits. We are now meeting Fridays on the terrace of the grill room. It's going really well. I'm excited about it. We will repeat that book club in the summer and then again in the fall. Look it up, see what you think of it. Fitness classes, we're actually offering 48 classes per week right now. Everything from Parkinson's disease or Parkinson's fighters for those living with Parkinson's disease to mat Pilates, yoga, Zumba, golf fitness, racket fitness, Men's aqua on Wednesdays. Boy, that's a big one. I'm really excited about that. Personal training. Can't say enough about personal training. It adds accountability. It adds fun. It's safer. It really can be life changing to meet with a good personal trainer and can help move you to the right on that continuum. Being free from disease, we're all motivated for that, but living an optimal life, that's really inspiring. And that's why we want to strive for that. We have this amazing partnership with Lee Health. Through that, we have liaisons that can help you find a doctor. In addition to that, we have our wellness speaker series, which the Wellness Committee created. It brings experts in from Lee Health that do presentations for our members. It's really just an amazing resource we have. And finally, the wellness chat. This is, anything at all that you would like to talk to me about, whether it's our programming here, a concern you have, equipment you'd like to see, advice you need if you're struggling. That's really one of the things I am most passionate about. That's what I love to do. So reach out to me. If you see me at the desk, I usually am busy. And so if you stop to chat with me, I won't be able to talk for long. But if we schedule time to get together, I can schedule however much time it will take for us to sit down and have a meaningful conversation that brings value to your life. Again, that's what I most love to do. Our next Lunch and Learn is on January 23rd at 11:30 a.m. in the Palms Dining Room, and we're going to be looking at mental and emotional health. And this is where you can reach me. That's my cell phone number. That's my email address. Anything you need, send me a note. It's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow. The Lunch and Learns in person are a little bit more fun and interactive. Have an amazing day.